Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon.
I'm Amir.
Welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and then click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we're going to start with what media you're consuming. You're going to start, of course, but I just wanted to say, because last time you ended up talking a lot about comic books, and if you start talking about comic books again, save it for the comic book section.
Luckily, I have not been reading a lot of comic books as of late, which is a surprise. But what media have I been consuming? I'm still reading that true crime book. It's due back on the 20th, and I have a whole another book that's like way bigger that's just kind of like sitting here that I also borrowed that I haven't started, and I need to start it. But like school's gotten out of hand, so I don't know why I haven't started it. Uh, so I'm probably just gonna re-borrow that book. I'm trying to think, what else have I been reading? I think I've been doing a lot of reading this week. It's kind of weird. Maybe I should start reading again. Anyway, as far as TV shows go, I've been watching a lot of Gravity Falls, like a whole lot of Gravity Falls. Um, I watched Jungle Cruise, but like only like half watched it because I was also like texting while I was watching it, and I really wasn't really paying attention. I watched Red Notice on Netflix, which if you haven't seen it, you really should. It's really funny. I really enjoyed it. Red Notice was really good. What else have I been watching? I started Demon Slayer. I don't think I ever told you that. I started Demon Slayer like 2 weeks ago. I'm only on like episode 4. I'm not very far. And much like with Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm not really enjoying it right now, but I actually started to love Jujutsu Kaisen toward the end of the first season, so I'm thinking that's probably what's gonna happen here. Um there was something else. We saw Eternals yesterday, of course, but I'm sure we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Um I'm playing a lot of Knockout City because it's one of the PlayStation free games of the month. And I've been playing a lot of that RPG. I don't remember what it's called, like Kingdoms of Anor Re-Reckoning or something like that. It's actually really fun. Like I thought I was going to be bored. I thought it was going to be like really stupid. No, that is a fun game. It reminds me of a mix of like Skyrim and World of Warcraft, but it's not like World of Warcraft combat or anything, but like the art style. I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. Um, I think that's about. Oh, and I started playing Watch Dogs Legion again last night because I'll play that game for like 6 hours one day and just never touch it again for like another month, and then play it again for like 6 hours and like, oh, I love this game. I should play it more, and then just never play it for a month again. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with Legion, of course. I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, for me, I finished reading The Last Wish, and I'm about to start up on the second book.
That reminds me, I forgot. I finished the Last Wish book, and I saw what's that movie that you were like that I
Nightmare.
asked you? Yeah, Nightmare of the Wolf. I saw Nightmare of the Wolf, and I loved it.
Yeah. Last Wish was good. Um, I'm about to start up on a second book. I still haven't even purchased it yet. I'm still reading the first chapter preview, and once I finish that, I'll purchase it. I'm just checking it, making sure I like it. Because what if the second book's not as good as the first one? I watched The Social Network, the movie about Mark Zuckerberg and the creation of Facebook, starring Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg. Um, which watching this, I understand why they thought they should hire him for Lex Luthor, because Mark Zuckerberg is also an evil corporate supervillain, and he did a good job playing Mark Zuckerberg. But in all honesty, I think his Lex Luthor would have been better if he actually played his Lex Luthor like he played Mark Zuckerberg, but he didn't, and because of that, I didn't like it. Was it Andrew
Just get
Garfield?
Jeff Bezos to play Lex Luthor. I mean, like, just get the real thing. Like, I don't know why they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield was also in it as the co-founder of Facebook that got essentially robbed by Mark Zuckerberg. I watched The Harder They Fall on Netflix. It's a black-centric Western film. It's really good. It has a star-studded cast: Idris Elba, Jonathan Majors, who's going to be playing King the Conqueror in the MCU. Zazie Beetz, Lakeith Stanfield. It's a star-studded cast. There's a lot of really good actors in this.
I want to watch it. It's been on my list. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's good. I rewatched Shang-Chi. Still amazing. That last act makes me want a Dragon Ball Z movie so bad, but also it shows the potential of Avatar as live action as well. because Avatar, it like we talk about it. It's weird that they messed it up so bad because it's literally just martial arts with flair, with a little bit of flair in that the martial arts involve, you know, bending elements. So I don't understand how they messed that up so bad.
It's
Um,
literally fiery martial arts.
yeah. We watched Eternals yesterday. I watched Superman Batman Apocalypse, the animated film. It had some great fight scenes in it. The story overall was kind of boring and bland, but it was super short, and I was just watching it for the fights. I finally figured out how to download Spider-Man Remastered because PlayStation, this is one of the dumbest things PlayStation has ever done. So the only way you can get Spider-Man Remastered to this day, and it has literally been a year since Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered came out. I think yesterday or the day before that was the 1 year anniversary of Miles Morales. It wasn't yesterday, it was the day before that. But you had to buy Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, which came with Spider-Man Remastered to, you know, play the PS5 version of Spider-Man. And they still haven't released Spider-Man Remastered as a separate entity from Miles Morales yet. You know what I had to do after trying to figure out for the longest time since I got my PS5? I finally figured out you have to literally open Miles Morales. And then in the main menu, there's at the bottom of the screens, it says press R1 to download, to go to the menu for Spider-Man Remastered. And I was like, what the hell? I never noticed that. Pressed R1 and then it took me to the store and then said, okay, $19.99. I was like, all right, whatever. I had just got some money and I bought it. And I've been, I haven't finished my replay of Spider-Man, the first one. So I'm continuing replaying that. I just finished the Scorpion and Rhino boss fight. When I'm replaying this game, all I'm doing is taking screenshots every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, I enter camera mode. Like every time something cool happens, I just enter camera mode and try to take a cool screenshot. But yeah, that's been real fun. And, you know, me and you talked about it and you talked about how, you know, it doesn't look that different. Yeah, on a computer screen or a phone, maybe. But dude, when I tell you the difference is noticeable, it is noticeable. I'm getting used to it, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the new actor's face and I think it was unnecessary. I'm getting used to it. But in terms of just the upgrades they made to the lighting and the textures, oh my God, it is beautiful. Miles Morales also looks just as good on PS5. But yeah, it's very pretty. It was worth the upgrade. I haven't upgraded Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think I'm going to because God knows when I'm ever going to play that game again. So yeah, the next time I play Ghost of Tsushima, the upgrade might be free at that point. So yeah, we'll see. Arcane, we're gonna talk about that later. It's the League of Legends animated series on Netflix. Last but not least, I started playing Metal Gear Solid 2 yesterday, which was my 21st birthday, as well as the 20th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid 2. I was real tired when I got home, so I ate, watched Arcane, played a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 2. My goal was to get past the opening tanker mission before I went to sleep, but I was tired, so I just I made it to the first boss, fought the first boss, and then I stopped playing. And I was about to play it again, but I didn't want to get into a cutscene when I know I had to start the podcast in like 30 minutes. So I'm gonna play that after I rewatch Arcane after we're finished recording. But yeah. Current events, this episode we're gonna be talking a lot about Disney Plus Day, and we're also gonna have a long conversation about Eternals. So going to animation, Daniel Day Kim. This actually isn't even animation. Why did I put this here? I'm gonna move this, and we're gonna start off with Disney Plus Day. So X-Men 97. They are going to be doing the continuation of the 1992 X-Men animated series. Did you watch much of that when you were a kid?
Of X-Men the animated series, I didn't watch much of it. I don't think I watched any of it until I got Disney Plus, and then I started watching it. I think I'm like halfway through the first season, but I really cannot sit down and watch that show for very long without getting bored. Like I can't do it.
You talk about how, in comparison to Batman animated series, which premiered the same year, it doesn't hold up as well in terms of the animation isn't as good, and the storytelling is. You mentioned how it's very much. The storytelling is. It's kind of, you essentially said it was kind of old. It was like 70s X-Men.
They were trying to tell 90s X-Men stories, but like with the writing of like 70s X-Men comics. Meanwhile, Batman the Animated Series was telling Batman stories from like all over the spectrum, but with the writing of the time.
Yeah,
And I think that's what worked a lot better for Batman versus like the Marvel animated shows in the 90s.
I also feel like something they both did differently was that Batman the Animated Series was a revolutionary Batman property that added to the ethos of Batman. It created the titular, not titular, why did I say titular? The iconic backstory for Mr. Freeze that did not exist before the animated series. Harley Quinn did not exist before the animated series. The animated series actively added new things to the Batman universe, whereas X-Men, the animated series, was just retreading storylines from the comics, while Batman the Animated Series was aiming to do something completely new with the character that ended up affecting the character even in the comics. And I feel like that definitely affects why Batman the Animated Series holds up so well. And me, you've talked about it 1,000 times before, that they were actively trying to push the envelope of what stories could be told in a children's animated series, because everybody working on Batman the Animated Series was tired of making children's cartoons. I've mentioned it 1,000 times, but there's a documentary on YouTube about this, and they talk about how they just wanted to make a more mature series, and this is one of the many reasons why Batman the Animated Series holds up much better. So getting a modern interpretation of the '97 series will be very interesting, and I'm excited to see how they do that. They announced Marvel Zombies. I'm not sure if it's a series or a movie. Do you know?
It's a series. It's in the original announcement they announced it's a series.
Okay. And right, they might have just done this to make a correlation, but they did, like, in the little sizzle reel, after they showed the title, they showed a clip of the zombie Wanda from the What If episode. So I don't know if it's been confirmed. You could maybe but if it's been confirmed, if it will be the What If version of it, or if it will be original one.
I have no clue if it's been confirmed or not. I was wondering the same thing. I don't remember if it was you or someone else that I asked, but I was like, "Do you know if this is connected to What If or not?" Because I have no clue.
You talked about it, and I said I'm leaning towards original because that's what I want, but I wouldn't be surprised if they stick with the What If version. Um, but what I was wondering is if they're going to keep the Evil Dead crossover elements, because for people who don't know, the original Marvel Zombies was essentially somehow Ash from the Evil Dead universe came to the Marvel universe with I think he was either chasing someone who stole the Necronomicon, or he brought the Necronomicon with him, and essentially that is what created the zombies with the Marvel Zombies universe. They're essentially Deadites from the Evil Dead. And Sam Raimi is now directing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and he created the Evil Dead series, directed the first two films. So I'm wondering if they're going to bring him in and also have Ash in, and have I'm mad I can't remember his name. He was also in Spider-Man. Real quick. Bruce Campbell. I wonder if they'll have Bruce Campbell voicing, if it's animated, which I assume it is. Bruce Campbell voicing Ash in this series, which would be fun. Spider-Man freshman year. It was confirmed that it is going to be about Peter's early years as Spider-Man within the MCU.
I wanted to cry as soon as I read that.
Yeah, we were hoping that it would be a continuation of Spectacular Spider-Man with him being in college, but no, it's not that. I really want that, but that's not what this is.
Even MCU Peter in college, I don't think I'd mind as much. I don't. We know we both talked about I don't like MCU Peter, but like if they wanted to go finally a more mature Spider-Man and like put him in college, that would have been great. But no, that's not what we're getting. I also saw some speculation that would have been about Miles Morales, which I would have like flipped my shit over, but that's also not what's going on. So
yeah, not too interested in that, if I'm being honest, but I'll probably check it out. Young Justice, I haven't watched the newest episode. But I
wait,
watched
when did it come out?
Thursday.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it yet though. I did catch up on the other episodes, and then I saw the Artemis episode. The Artemis episode was awesome. I loved it. And I did not care about the Miss Martian Superboy thing at all, even up until the end. Like I just did not, I could not care at all.
It was all right to me. It was very much another case of them throwing a bunch of characters, and I hate it. and they keep doing it. And I don't understand why they haven't learned that you can't just keep throwing characters at us. Even though I know a lot of these characters, because they're essentially throwing every single character that's ever been that's ever either used a bow and arrow or been a member of the League of Shadows. Every single character that's been involved with Green Arrow or in the League of Shadows is in this arc. And it's just like, stop throwing all these characters at us. Stop. This season is supposed to be focused on the original team, and they're doing that with the the main character of each arc being a member of the original team, but surrounding them are a bunch of characters that they just keep adding in, and it's like, bruh, let's just keep it tight knit for now. You don't need to. I feel like Justice League Unlimited did it so much better, where they would have the characters in the background and show them to you, but wouldn't have them be super important to the story to where you would need to have you actually need to get to know them for their character to really matter. Whereas in Young Justice, they will have a character be important for an episode that you've never met and never really got introduced to. In season 2, they did that a lot with Mal Duncan and Bumblebee, because they were introduced in the first season, but barely. And then all of a sudden they were focused on like their relationship problems were being focused on in one of the episodes. It's like, bro, we don't really know these people to care about their relationship problems. Like it's a constant problem with Young Justice that they just keep piling on characters, and it's annoying. It's really getting on my nerves. I want to like this arc, but I just couldn't. One, I don't think the action scene was that good. And two, it's just a bunch of characters. It's just a lot of characters. We don't need all these characters. But yeah, that's all I have to say. You have anything to say before we move on to Arcane?
I like the arc so far. Again, I've only seen the first episode of it. I really like it. I think it's handling like grief and like how both I said Talia. Wow, how both Artemis cut that part. How Artemis and Tigress are both dealing with grief in their own ways, and I really like that. Like I really like it. I also like the fact that Arrowette is in it so much, especially because she was a big part of the original Young Justice team. Why they don't just like make a Young Justice show about the actual original Young Justice team, I don't know. But uh I did like the inclusion of Arrowette because it feels like she's not in a lot of stuff like at all for DC ever. So it was cool to see her like actually in this. I like the fact that she was part of Tim's little team in season 3, from like the little bit of season 3 that I saw. But I like Arrowette's inclusion, and I did really like this episode. I also really like the fact that they had Onyx in it, because you didn't know who Onyx was, but Onyx is a big part of, for anyone else that doesn't, Onyx was a big part of the beginning of the Under the Red Hood story. And with the way that it looks like they're about to include like Jason's Red Hood arc at some point, either this season or next season, I'm really excited to see where that goes.
It's definitely I'm pretty sure the arc after this might be the Nightwing arc.
I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
But yeah,
Man, I think after this I'm gonna watch that episode.
Yeah. All I've been seeing is that Black Spider makes his return in the next episode, and he's essentially
Yes, I love Black Spider in this show. I love him in this show so much. Like
murderous Spider-Man. He just Spider-Man if Spider-Man was an assassin.
he literally is Assassin Spider-Man. Like he's literally Assassin Spider-Man. I love it.
But Arcane, League of Legends. I don't know if you've seen this, the second act, the episodes 4 through 6.
I didn't even know they dropped.
Yeah, they dropped.
Looks like I have a lot more to catch up on. Okay.
It was really good. The first, so just talking about the first arc, the animation is gorgeous. It is mostly 3D animated with a touch of 2D now and again, especially some painted backgrounds and stuff like that. There was a moment in the third episode where they were like looking up at the sky and the fire was definitely 2D, but it's mostly 3D animated to look like kind of like painterly, similar to the Dishonored series, which I mean, you constantly talk about this series and talk about, man, I just want a Dishonored animated series in this art style. It would be so beautiful. But focusing on this story specifically, the art style is beautiful. The world building is fantastic. I love learning about this world. And this is just one city within the world. So when they get a second season, because I have no doubt they'll get a second season because people are loving this show. I'm excited to see, what this world looks like outside of just this specific city of Piltover and the Undercity. And the characters are fantastic, and the arcs they're going on are amazing. Um, art direction's wonderful. All the characters are beautifully designed. Excuse me. And what was I about to say? There isn't one boring character in this show. Um, much like Full Metal Alchemist, where there aren't many boring characters, and there aren't many characters that aren't going to matter to the story in the long run. How you feel about it?
I am very indifferent to the story itself. We talked about this a little bit. I'm. It feels weird saying I'm not a League of Legends fan because like I'm not a League of Legends fan, but like I want to be a League of Legends fan. But like a lot of the moment, like I know enough about League of Legends lore that like a lot of the moments where like if you were like a Marvel comics fan, like you saw something in like one of the movies or like a hint in one of the movies or something. You were like a Star Wars fan, and they were doing like a prequel. When you saw something like cool in like one of the prequels or something like that, that would like tie into the rest of the movies that you saw and like other people wouldn't necessarily see unless they were actually a fan of it. Uh, I'm having those moments just don't hit as hard for me, but I mean I guess that's okay. And the story itself is kind of cool. I'm not really attached to the whole powder vibe. I'm not really attached to that like origin story at all,
I
which
think
I really.
you're
Oh god.
too focused on that stuff where one like if you're just watching the story to enjoy the story, I'm not even noticing those things. I'm not sitting there like, oh, that like they aren't, it's not like in Ahsoka in the Mandalorian thing, where if you've never watched the Clone Wars or Rebels and Ahsoka shows up in the show, you don't have any emotional connection to this character. You're just like, oh, cool. There's a Jedi with two swords and her skin's orange and she's played by Rosario Dawson. Okay, I guess. Whereas if you watch Star Wars, you watch Clone Wars, you watch Rebels, you're like, oh my God, it's Ahsoka. There has not been anything like that in this show because this show is introducing you to all these characters. So you aren't just randomly getting Ahsoka, you're being introduced to Ahsoka. You aren't
No,
like,
there's been a couple of moments like that in the
yeah,
show.
that's the thing though. And because I didn't notice them and didn't, that means that they're doing a good job of just telling a story that's okay by itself without any context. Because I'm not noticing any of those moments that stick out like Ahsoka does in Mandalorian, where this is clearly fan servicey, but I just don't get the fan service because I don't know who this person is or I don't know what this thing is. There aren't situations like that in this show. There are no Ahsokas.
There's definitely some Ahsokas. There's like absolutely like
Point
quite a
out,
few of them.
spoiler alert, point out an Ahsoka because there aren't any. There are no Ahsoka.
Okay, one, the Jinx thing, the whole Vander getting turned into a giant monster, uh,
How can those be
the
Ahsokas when they literally build up to those arcs? You can't say that an Ahsoka is a character that pops in that has a history that pretend we never seen in Clone Wars, that we don't know about, that we're only watching The Mandalorian. And this character shows up that if you watch this past 7-season show and this other, what was it, like 5-season show, you would have so much context and so much love for this character. Vander isn't a character that is a character that they introduce here and you grow to like in this show. So when all this stuff happens, when she becomes Jinx because her sister and her other friends and essentially foster siblings constantly say she's a Jinx, you're like, oh, that's cool. That's where she got it from. And then later on, they start calling her, she starts going by Jinx. And you're like, oh, that's cool. I get that. They explain it. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It's
I'm understanding where you're coming from. I'm not agreeing with it.
because there are no examples of a character or a situation just happening that we have no context for, like Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. Like, I think you're too focused on trying to connect to this series like you connect with Star Wars. Just enjoy it for what it is. They're telling a
Oh, I'm
story.
not saying it's a problem. I'm just pointing out the fact that I can't get into. I'm not able to get into this as much as I'm able to get into something like that because of the fact that I'm not able to connect on this level.
Again, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to connect on that level. It's okay not to. You don't have to have prior knowledge. You can just
No,
enjoy.
I'm not. No, 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 no. Okay, okay. I think what you're mixing up here is that I'm not saying that I need to have prior knowledge. I'm not saying that the problem is that I don't have prior knowledge. What I'm saying is I'm just not able to connect with this story on the same level. And it's not because of the prior knowledge, it's I'm just not able to get into the story.
Yeah, if you're just not able to connect with the characters, then you're not gonna like the show. But for me, I think that every character is very interesting, and all of their plights are very interesting.
I am excited for the next arc though, or the arc that just dropped, because Celeste is in it. I do like Celeste, and from what I know about League of Legends lore, I do like Celeste as a character. And I like her and Vi's friendship, so I may be able to connect with this one. Hopefully, is what I'm hoping for. And I also liked what's his name, the magic dude, the science magic dude, the Doctor Doom guy, but like not a bad guy, the student dude.
Yeah. So
Yeah, him. I don't remember his name, but I liked him too.
don't say anything more than that because you have a bit of outside knowledge that I don't want to know because it was spoiled for me. So let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Moving on to comics. It's been recently announced that Mary Marvel is becoming the new Shazam, which is very interesting. A lot of people talk about how DC is essentially in their kind of all new, all different phase like Marvel did, where you had Jane Foster Thors, you had Kate Bishop, you had Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, you had the new Nova, what's his name? Sam Alexander. You had a whole bunch of characters coming in and taking up the legacy of a previous character. And you have a lot of that happening in DC right now. You have Mary Marvel becoming Shazam. You have Jonathan Kent becoming Superman. You have Jace becoming Batman. You have Yara Flor becoming Wonder Girl and then eventually Wonder Woman. You have Joe Mullion, Green Lantern, becoming a more prominent character within the universe. I'm interested to see where this goes. Also, Iron Fist is Asian. They introduced the new Asian Iron Fist in the comics. And to that I say, coincidence? I think not. Shang-Chi was just added to Disney Plus, and there's no way they aren't about to bring in their most popular martial arts character, Iron Fist, into the MCU. And I think they are going to bring in the Asian version of Iron Fist, whether that be making Danny Rand mixed or Asian American, or just straight up because they don't want to, upset the OG fans, either bringing in both characters or just bringing in the new character that they just introduced as the main Iron Fist of that universe. I'm interested to see where that goes because I have no doubt they're going to bring Iron Fist into the MCU, and they might be using this version of Iron Fist to do that. Any thoughts about that?
I just want pay. That's all I want is pay.
Yeah.
I miss Pei, and they don't use her in the comics at all. And I really want her in the MCU because like it's literally like a Tibetan child female Iron Fist, and I feel like that has a lot of potential. And they did like one story with her, and then she's in nothing.
Yeah. So on to my comics I've been reading. I read Nubia and the Amazons. Nubia's origin story is told in the first few pages and introduces something I wasn't aware of existed on Themyscira. Nubia was born from the Well of Souls, a place where women who died through acts of violence are reborn. Within the comic, for the first time in a long time, several new souls have emerged, and one of them is a transgender person, which is pretty cool. I'm excited to see where the story goes. Nubia is currently the queen of Themyscira in the story, and currently there's I think they call it the Door of the Dead, that's like under the Themyscira that's being guarded, but around the end of the issue, the guard was dead and the door was open. So, I'm interested in seeing where that goes. And also it actually ties directly into Black Manta, which I'm about to get into. I've been reading Black Manta. I'm on I read the first 2 issues. Issue 3 is out. I'm gonna have to check that out later.
I forgot that came out.
Yeah, it's leading into a series called Aquaman, which will obviously be Jackson Hyde stepping into the Aquaman role alongside Arthur, most likely. And it was shown in the second issue that Black Manta can perform a little bit of magic, and he essentially made a portal. He created like a pocket dimension, which he uses as like his base of operations. Also, just Black Manta is dying. From what?
Like he's like, wait, what?
He's dying from some type of magical illness. That he's essentially trying to figure out how to undo. And the story, he has this inner monologue happening throughout the story that is essentially him writing a letter to Jackson. and it's him talking about wow, what will he leave behind when he passes. So yeah, that's what's happening with Black Manta. Wonder Girl issues take a long time to come out because the woman creating it is both drawing it and writing it. And from what I hear from fans is that she's not the best writer. The story's good so far, but it would be better if someone else stepped up in the writing position, or maybe she worked with someone else in the writing department. That way she could focus more on the artwork than she was before. So within the comics, turns out Eros, who kidnapped her in issue 2, was kidnapping her to be taken to Hera so that she could be trained to become an Olympian. So she's special in some kind of way that hasn't really been confirmed in a comic yet. It definitely has something to do with that she's the daughter of an Amazonian and some mysterious god. They haven't revealed who the god is, so that definitely is why she's special. Aquaman the Becoming, issue 2, Jackson has been framed for a terrorist act on Atlantis. That may be a conspiracy to incite war with his mother and Mara's people, the Sepals. And Dark Knights of Steel. I don't know if you've read it yet, but it was.
I haven't. I've been reading a couple of like previews. I don't know why. I just have not been reading as many comics. I've been rereading Immortal Iron Fist, but that's about it.
Yeah, Dark Knights of Steel was really good. It was really good setup to the world and the different interpretations of its main characters. That first issue definitely starts with the bang. So I don't want to spoil it for you. So we'll talk about
No,
that.
I did. I think I've read the entire issue just like through previews of like comic pages. Like I'm pretty sure I read the entire thing,
Yes.
but it does go crazy, and I really like the fact that they made Dinah into like Banshee or whatever it is. I love that.
Yeah. So something I wanted to mention is that some people, like, I saw this one review where they were like, oh, so they're making Black Lightning a villain. And I'm like, okay, how one-dimensional can you look at something? It's very clear that he saw this person come to Earth, kill his soldiers, a bunch of his soldiers, and he was afraid. Like, who is this person and why are they killing my people? And on the flip side, because Kryptonians are no stronger against magic than a regular person, they don't allow people who use magic into their kingdom because they have the ability to harm them. So it's a war of just two people who essentially just don't like each other because they're different and they're afraid of each other. And eventually, I'm sure they might come to some type of compromise. But yeah, story was pretty good. Moving on to TV and film. So Daniel Day Kim is going to be Ozai in the Netflix live action Avatar. He already voiced 2 characters in the animated series. He voiced General Fong with the general that was trying to into the Avatar state, and he voiced Hiroshi Sato. I can't remember her name, but Korra's girlfriend's father, Asami. That's her name. He voiced Asami's dad. So yeah, Daniel Day Kim sounds like a good choice for Ozai. You know, I'm somewhat excited for this. Cautiously optimistic, but a little excited. I'll wait till I actually see something before I say I'm straight up excited. But keeping on that live action Netflix train, they announced the live action Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my favorite anime, top 10. I'm interested. A little wary because people know about their live action anime. Now, Cowboy Bebop looks pretty good. If Cowboy Bebop is good, I'm going to have a bit more faith in their other adaptations. F Cowboy Bebop's good. That's an F.
I feel like even if Cowboy Bebop is good, that might be a bit of a Cowboy Bebop. I feel like compared to a lot of other anime would be very easy to translate because of the fact that it's not super overly stylized and it's not super anime-esque. Like as far like I know it's about like space cowboys and stuff, but like it's decently realistic. Like it's pretty grounded, and like they don't even use like laser guns and stuff. Like they use like real guns and stuff like that. Like it's not a Star Wars in an anime type of thing. And so I feel like even if it's good, it's going to be because it's not that hard to translate something like that to live action compared to something like Yu Yu Hakusho, or even something like if they were to try to translate like Naruto on screen, like that's a bit different than something like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I think Naruto could work, but that's a different discussion. But
I know
one
I feel like Naruto could work, but like Cowboy Bebop is definitely easier to translate.
and just quick Harry Potter. I think that something they could do to a live action Naruto that the show doesn't is much like how we talk about with a live action Dragon Ball Z should lean into the martial arts aspect. I think a live action Naruto should lean into the ninja aspect because after the first part of Naruto, they are the trashiest ninjas on the face of the earth. It's like the transition from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, where it becomes this epic space adventure story, and they're fighting gods. Naruto essentially does the same thing, where they go from ninjas that actually sneak and hide and use clever, ninja type tactics into just straight up, literally fighting gods. Like they both, Dragon Ball and Naruto, divert from their original focus, which one was martial arts, one was ninjas, and they both just completely trail off into something much more grander and epic. And I think that they should keep some more focus on that ninja aspect if they were to do a live action Naruto. I think they should actually try to keep it a little bit more grounded. I would still want to see that over the top fights, but I would still want them to actually be ninjas. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that, especially because like
And I'm sorry, you go ahead. I'll say it afterwards.
oh no, I was gonna say the only by the end of Naruto, the only like actual ninja is like Shino. Like the rest of them are like none of them are ninja anymore. They're literally just gods. Like,
Yeah.
and I fully agree with that. Like they need to lean into the ninja aspect, just
And
like Dragon Ball needs to lean into the martial arts aspect because they're not ninjas anymore. They're just gods that can fight good.
also doing that would do something that I feel like every live action adaptation should do, which is actively be different. Keep
Yeah,
keep the heart and soul of the original. But if you're just gonna straight up copy and paste into live action, you might as well not do it at all because the animation is always going to be the better version. So
right.
instead, actively go out of your way to change something and make it a bit different, so that it actually stands on its own as a different interpretation. And speaking of which, one that I'm very wary of because I think this is I think it is a super, probably the most stylized anime on the planet. One Piece is getting a live action adaptation, and they revealed
I
the.
forgot about that.
So I was very concerned because, like I said, One Piece is super stylized. But you know how my mind works. I think that anything can work as long as the people working on it care. um, and the cast made me a lot more interested in the live action. So the cast is I'll put a picture of them up on screen. It's a very diverse cast, and it has the crew from the first like couple arcs. It's Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp, and the actors definitely resemble them a lot. The woman who played Cindy Berman in Fear Street is playing Nami. And a lot of people are upset because she's 28 and playing a 18-year-old, and I'm like, bruh, she looks like an 18-year-old. She'll be fine. As long as she doesn't like age poorly, like as long as like 10 years from now she doesn't look like she's 60, it'll be fine. So what I feel like I didn't know this, and maybe some people didn't know, is that Oda actually, in one of the, like, you know how in manga in the in between of chapters or at the end of the manga sometimes they'll ask like answer like fan questions and stuff like that. So he has one where someone asks like, if these characters existed in real life, like what would their nationality be? And he went through and said so. And he said Luffy would be Brazilian. He said Sanji would be French. Zoro would be Japanese. Frankie would be American. Brooke would be Austrian. Was it Robin would be Russian and stuff like that. I forget what race he said. Nami would be maybe British. I can't remember, but yeah, he went through and he said that Usopp would be African. And yeah, when you look at the cast, it's definitely that diverse cast of pirates, which makes sense in a story that's about pirates traveling the world and picking up crew members along the way. And much like with One Piece, I mean, Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, we were just talking about. I feel like if they lean into that high seas pirate adventure, like a bit like Pirates of the Caribbean, but they have superpowers, I think it actually could work. I'm definitely still cautiously optimistic, but I think if they play their cards right, it could work. And also, much like Cowboy Bebop, they actually have the original creator on board with the series, so he's actually working with them, and I like that. You like to see it because that lets you know that they actually care about making it good. But yeah, moving on. There was a Morbius trailer. It doesn't look bad. It's confusing. Because we don't know exactly where it takes, what universe it takes place in, because they show
All of them.
yeah, it basically takes place in all of them. It takes place
This is
in,
gonna be the this is
but
gonna be the No Way Home before No Way Home. This is gonna be him like hopping universes the whole time.
seeing Morbius's powers just makes me go, it would be so cool to see this man fight Spider-Man. And that's how I feel every time I see one of these movies about Spider-Man villains about Spider-Man. And I'm like, man, imagine that version of Venom and Carnage fighting Spider-Man. Imagine this version of Morbius fighting Spider-Man, because his powers are cool. And he would definitely give Spider-Man a hard time. It would be really cool to see them fight. And hopefully,
Imagine this version of Morbius fighting Blade.
oh yeah, that could also be really. Um, so yeah, it looked interesting. I might check it out. There was a trailer for Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like it'll primarily be taking place on Tatooine, but it could just be that this trailer is showing a lot of stuff from the first episode, which they've done that before, so that they keep things a secret. There was a
Yeah,
huge.
most of the Mandalorian season 2 trailer was literally just like the first 3 episodes.
I have no doubt he'll like leave the planet and talk to other gangs and stuff, because he's essentially taking over the Hutt's gang. So yeah, there was a huge city that looked like it was on Tatooine, and this is the biggest Tatooine city I've ever seen in my life. I'm interested to learn
I
about that city.
I don't know that that's on Tatooine per se, which I wouldn't surprise me because it looked like Tatooine, but Tatooine's not the only desert planet. And in The Mandalorian, they were talking about like only 3 hospitable areas in Tatooine exist, and like we've seen all 3 of them at this point.
Yeah, but that could have changed. And also, the like architecture looks very much like Tatooine architecture. But
I'm interested in seeing what happens.
yeah. So back to Disney Plus Day. They showed a scissor reel for the Kenobi series. And they showed Hayden Christensen training with some lightsabers. That's pretty cool. And it showed a lot of concept art, specifically one that a lot of people saying that of an Inquisitor that a lot of people saying looks like Trilla from Fallen Order. And I don't
It
really
does look a lot like her.
because it's really tiny and I would have to zoom in, and so I can't really tell. I feel like people are stretching. But if it is her, I'd be happy, because spoiler alert, again, spoiler alert, at the end of Fallen Order, she seemingly dies. And I was upset because I was like, she's so cool. Why do they always kill the cool characters? I wanted her to like join their side and work with, you know, Cal and what was the Night Sister's name? I forget. But yeah, I wanted her to join their side and maybe even be a playable character in the next thing. That would be cool. But yeah, if that's her, it would be dope, because this does take place after Fallen Order. There was some footage for several upcoming Marvel shows. They showed some She-Hulk footage. They showed a bit of her as She-Hulk. They just showed like her legs and panned up and showed a bit of her costume and her arms. And they showed one where she was like getting out of a limousine, going to like a party, and she was in like some like shiny dress with like a leg slit, so you can see the green leg and to know that she's in her She-Hulk form. And also they showed Bruce, whose arm was healed. So either his arm is healed, or what if this takes place before Endgame, in between like the 5 years?
Wait, his arm was healed? Hang on, I gotta go back and look at that picture.
His arm is healed in that. Both his arms are healed in that that little like scissor reel. And he also was like a lot buffer. It looks weird. He kind of looks weird, but again, it's like not finished. Like the show's not coming out anytime soon. So they definitely have some polishing to do on the CGI side of things. They showed some Moon Knight footage. I'm glad they're going with the all white suit. You like the version with a little bit of black in it. I think I like the version.
That's my favorite. Well, my second favorite Moon Knight suit. My favorite Moon Knight suit is the Mr. Knight. That's
I,
always gonna be my favorite.
I like all white Moon Knight. I'm excited to see what they do with that. That's tied with She-Hulk for my most anticipated. After I was gonna say Nightwing, after Hawkeye, which is coming out soon. Um, they showed some Miss Marvel footage, which it looked like she was walking through the air on constructs, and that's upsetting because that means that they're changing her powers even more than we thought.
I said I was like the way there it leads into a slippery slope of them potentially changing her powers more. That's what it looks like they're doing, and I don't like it.
She might just straight up be a Green Lantern. I'm like, why did you do this? Why? um, they're making an Agatha Harkness show called Agatha House of Harkness, which is weird. I'm
It
not
is
gonna,
weird. We talked about that. It's pretty weird. It's pretty strange they're making an Agatha show.
I'm not gonna lie. I really don't care about her. I don't care about her enough to think that she needs her own show. You know who I think needs their own show? Uh, Wen Wu from Shang-Chi, talking like just a show about his past and his time as a warlord, and maybe show him like running into other characters. Like, what if he ran into like some past Iron Fist, or like he went to Wakanda one time, or like the Ancient One. Like, I want to see that, or like the Eternals or something like that.
Actually, there's a in the second half of Immortal Iron Fist, which is like the best Iron Fist comic ever, which actually what I had no clue is it's in my top three favorite comic books of all time. And you know, Hawkeye 2012 is my favorite comic book of all time. I had no clue they were made by the exact same people. It's the exact same. Matt Fraction wrote it and David Aja did the art for both those series. And I had no clue. I'm like, no wonder I like them so much.
Oh,
And it's
what?
also funny.
What's it
Wait,
called?
what?
What's it called?
Immortal Iron Fist.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Not fists, just Immortal Iron Fist. Because Immortal Iron Fists is with Pei, which is his like Pei is the new Iron Fist ish kind. It's weird. Anyway, um, but it's actually really funny because in both Hawkeye and Immortal Iron Fist, they both get called each other like all the time. Like, people are like, "Are you Hawkeye to Iron Fist?" And then, "Oh, it's Iron Fist." People are or to Hawkeye, they're like, "Are you Iron Fist?" And they're both like, "No." But it's funny because they both look alike because they're both drawn by the same dude. And they're both like blonde white dudes that get beat up a lot, so they always have bandages on. So it's really funny because they do look very similar. Um, but in the second half of that series, there is something that Danny notices in the Book of the Iron Fist, where every Iron Fist dies on their 33rd birthday. Like every single one, not a single Iron Fist except for Orson Randall died or lived past 33, and he turned 33, and he's like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, what is going on? Like he turned 33, he's like, wait, all these Iron Fists do not live past 33. What is going on? And it turns out that there's this monster from one of the heavenly cities that kills Iron Fists, like hunts them down on their 33rd year of life and kills them. And of course, Danny lives. Of course, Danny like kills a monster or whatever. But like, I think that like if they traded places where that would be like Wen Wu instead, where like there's a specific like time in his life where he's like, you know what, fighting them is kind of a challenge. Like I'm gonna start hunting them and just start killing them, and like his whole mission just becomes like start killing Iron Fists at a certain point in his life, and he just gets bored with it at some point. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like instead of like just trading a monster and turning Wen Wu into that monster instead.
Yeah. And last but not least, they showed the first look at Nick Fury in Secret Wars. I will put the image up on screen. He has a beard. He's a gray beard, and he has like, it's Nick Fury. He doesn't have his eye patch. He's not wearing it. He's just showing his eye off. So before we go into Eternals, I want to talk about Captain America 4. So IGN posted an article titled "Sam will still have to earn the title of Cap," and people got up in a tizzy saying that it was racist because Steve didn't have to go through all that, and why is he still having to prove himself? And to that I say, that's literally the point. Did you not watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? The point is that Sam, as a Black man, will have to face struggles that Steve didn't because Steve was white. But before I talk about that, I watched the interview, and Nate Moore, I think he's like vice president of Marvel or something like that, and he's working on the movie. And he wasn't even talking about race. He was talking about Sam not having superpowers, but having to deal with superpowered threats, and he would have to prove to the world that, and to us, because even a lot of people online are like, how is he gonna be able to fight these superpowered people without being a super soldier? He's gonna have to prove that he can, defeat these people even without powers, and just with the shield and the wings and his, his human skills. But even if we stick to the whole race thing, people are claiming that it's the same motivation from Falcon and Winter Soldier. But in that show, Sam was accepting that he was Cap. At that point, Steve gave him the shield, and he gave it up because he just he didn't feel like he could live up to what Cap was, especially being a black man. And
Your audio is fading out like really bad.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so like it was about Sam accepting that he was Cap and that Steve gave him the shield and that he's the next Captain America. And it literally wasn't until the final episode that he finally accepted that. So we did not get to see the world's reaction if we're keeping it 100. Like there will be some pushback to that. Like even just online in real life, people were upset that Sam was Captain America. So do you think that people within the world of Marvel aren't going to be upset that a black man is Captain America? Of course they are. Of course that's going to be a part of the story because they aren't going to sugarcoat that. They're going to show it to us how it is. People are going to be upset that a black man has that shield and is wearing the stars and stripes, white and blue. That's going to happen, and they're going to touch on that. And it would be weirder if they pretended like that wasn't the case, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, in the comics, that was like a big thing in the comics when he became Captain America. Is the world did not want him to be Captain America at all. Like nobody wanted him to be Captain America.
And you know that this was a bunch of black people virtual signaling going, what? That's racist, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, that's literally the point. The point is that it's racist, that people aren't going to readily accept him. And he's going to have to work harder than Steve ever did to prove that he is worthy. That's literally the point. That's the whole point.
What I think is interesting about when Sam was Captain America is that Sam got tired of people not accepting him and he started making enemies, even with people that even with Steve, like when he and Steve like are best friends in the comics, and he started making enemies with Steve because Steve was like, dude, you're like taking or you're doing all this stuff, yada yada yada. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm sick and tired of people telling me that I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that, and yada yada yada. And they like, it was pretty cool.
That's definitely,
I really love that series.
I definitely see that happening. Eventually he's gonna be like, I don't like, I think it might happen earlier in the movie than we think, but like he's gonna get to a point where he's like, I don't care what y'all think. I got the shield and it is what it is. Unless you're gonna come and take it from me, which you won't, because you're gonna catch these hands. Shut up.
Actually, people did try. U.S. Agent tried because this was back when Steve was Hydra Cap, and he was like, obviously, it's gonna look bad if I try to take the shield from him, so I need you to try to take the shield from him. U.S. Agent was like, yeah, okay. And then he went, and he was actually like beating Sam, but like Sam wanted, of course, Sam in the comics has like an actual power to like talk to birds and stuff. And like he got like all the birds in like New York to just start like attacking U.S. Agent, and like he literally got carried out unconscious by like a group of birds.
I have no doubt U.S. Agent is going to pop up in Captain America 4, and I really would love to see Sam put hands on that man. I would love to see him try to like, but in the show they set him up and like he's not necessarily a bad person, but he's going down a dark path, which is the way his character goes. So yeah, he's definitely going to show up in the movie, and they're probably going to end up getting in a kerfuffle. But
Kerfuffle.
so Elden Ring, there were some previews. I watched Maximilian. I watched a podcast where a kind of funny podcast where they were talking about it. And I also watched Maximilian Dude's gameplay video, and it seems much more accessible in terms of difficulty than the previous Souls games, which might be a reason
It's a Souls game? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's a Souls game. It's an open world Souls game. The story is partially be written by George R. R. Martin.
Oh, this is the George R. R. Martin Souls game. Okay, now I'm excited for it. See, you telling me this made me excited for it. All I know about the game is that it's open world, and I've seen like
Oh yeah.
3 seconds of gameplay of somebody riding a horse. That's all I know about this game.
They released a 19-minute gameplay video like a week or two ago, and also previews are out where people are showing their gameplay. So go check that out later. But like,
I
yeah,
was gonna say I've seen the 19-minute gameplay trailer like pop up and like the internet explode over it, but I just didn't know what it was, and so I didn't check it out because I was like, it typically takes a little bit of interest for me to do that, which now you piqued my interest, so now I want to do it. Because again, I've only seen like 3 seconds of someone riding a horse. Like I had no clue what this was.
yeah, to allow for open world exploration without it becoming tedious, they're more generous with the save points. Like at every enemy camp, there's a save point so that you don't have to ride your horse all the way back to the camp to try and fight them again. The bosses are still going to be hard, which makes sense. It's a Souls game, but because there are just so many enemies, they make it a little bit easier to fight them because it's a huge open world map. And there's some, they have to make some decisions to make it a bit easier to work within that realm. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. The Eternals. We're gonna end the podcast with this. It's it's definitely becoming one of my favorite Marvel movies. I watched it the second time with Amir, who watched it for the first time yesterday. Um, and I think it's very much different from any other Marvel movie that came before it. And I really like that because I feel like Marvel needs to switch things up a bit. Because doing the same thing over and over again gets tiresome. It gets tired. It gets boring. And they need to switch up. And I'm excited to see what directors like Sam Raimi does with Multiverse of Madness. I'm excited to see more of Taika Waititi's Thor because he came in and did something different with Thor, taking inspiration from Guardians of the Galaxy, which also came in and did something different. Whenever a director comes in and does something different within the MCU, it usually turns out really good. So I love this movie. I really liked it. Um, so how you feeling about it? How would just your first impressions?
I liked it. I think I told you I liked it. I did really like the movie. I don't know that I would say that's one of my favorites. It's maybe in the top 10. I don't know about the top five, but I did really like it. It was really really good. You already know I want to see more out of Black Knight, and I'm very excited for the future of Black Knight as a character. And he was my favorite character, and I know like so little about him, and like just Kit Harrington's portrayal of him in the movie made me very excited for the future of that character in particular. Um, I'm excited to see where the future of the Eternals goes. The cosmic side of the MCU has me more excited than just about any other part. I'm not gonna say more than any other part because the whole Shang-Chi and the potential of Iron Fist coming in the MCU, and then like same as Captain America and like the Thunderbolts, like no. The street
Yeah.
side of Marvel still has me most excited, but the cosmic side it has me very interested.
Yeah, the more we're just talking about Captain America and Shang-Chi, the more I realize that there are so many, like the bottom of the totem pole for me, if I'm being honest, is the multiversal stuff. I
Same.
don't feel like they've done enough to make me interested in it. You love Loki. I think Loki's okay. I don't think it's the best show. I'm excited for
I
King.
love Loki, but Loki didn't have me interested in the multiverse as much as it did just interested in Loki himself.
It made me interested in Loki and Kang. Where I feel like Loki should
I
have
forgot about Kang.
I feel like Loki should have made me really interested in the multiverse, but it didn't. But maybe Spider-Man will actually be the movie that makes me more interested in the multiverse stuff. But I was already interested in the cosmic stuff, and the Eternals just elevated that because I'm excited for Thor, I'm excited for Guardians. And Eternals kind of just took it to another level. It felt like somebody described it on Twitter as the first movie in a space epic based off of a novel, like something like Dune. And it definitely felt that way. It felt like if you move, they barely mention stuff from that happened, within the Marvel universe. So if you remove all those little tidbits that they mention about other stuff in the Marvel universe, and you remove the Marvel logo, this could stand on its own, and it could build its own universe from just what they showed in this movie by itself. And I'm really excited to see how it connects to the cosmic side of the universe with Thor, with Guardians. If they'll bring in Nova, and that'll play a factor. Um,
Honestly, before this movie, I think the cosmic side of the MCU was lowest on my totem pole. Like I wasn't all that interested in the MCU, but like I had or in not in the MCU, in the multiverse, but I had literally no interest in the cosmic side whatsoever. Like I at least had a little bit of interest in the multiverse because I love Andrew. I love Andrew, and I'm like I want Andrew back. That was pretty much where my interest stopped. But with the cosmic stuff, I did not give. I'm really trying hard not to cuss here. He's a family friendly podcast, but I really did not care whatsoever about Thor. I didn't care about Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I loved Volume 1, but I did not like Volume 2, and I wasn't really excited about that future. And like I want to see Nova, but like I'd have to be interested in more than just the potential of seeing a character that we haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? So, but now that Eternals has come out, now like my interest in the cosmic side of the MCU is like almost as much as my interest in the street side. Like that right there is like I'm very excited, very very excited about that.
Yeah, but getting into spoilers, I want to start off talking about Makari and how they displayed her speed. It is some of the coolest visuals for a speedster I won't even say some. It is the coolest visuals I've seen for a speedster in any movie in live action ever. They never slowed down once. They never used slow motion. They always, at most, they would have the camera track her specifically and have the background behind her be moving. And they showed like they would zoom out and show her just zipping across the planet. And it was amazing, especially that fight between her and Icarus, which was essentially Superman versus Flash. And
how it would really happen until Icarus got the upper hand. I'm like, no, that's how it would really happen. And then Icarus got the upper hand. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Sonic booms and wind pressure as an attack. She would run and use that sonic boom and wind pressure to push him back. And it was so cool. I want to see more.
I also love the fact that like the faster she was going, the harder she hit. And I'm like, people seem to forget that about not just the Flash, but like physics in general. Like the faster you're moving, the harder you're gonna hit something. And like people are like, oh, the Flash isn't strong. No, he literally runs faster than the speed of light. He's going to hit hard enough to damage something like that. Like, no, that's how that works.
Exactly. It was just that fight was so cool. And here's the thing, I don't have a problem with slow motion, but it's like, you know what they say, what is it, distance? It's not distance, but something makes the heart grow fonder. What's the word that goes before that? I forget what it is. Is it distance?
Wait, hang on. Wait, what? I know what you're talking about too, because I just thought about the saying a couple of days ago. Wait, hang on. Time, absence, something like that.
There you go. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So when you keep using something, when you overuse something, it kind of gets played out because you're doing it too much. And I feel like slow motion is used too often to show speed. And I feel like you need to, for majority, I would say it would be like it should be like a 80% just show the character moving really fast and use those slow motion moments either for a couple seconds every now and again. And then when you want to use it for a long time, it has to be for a really huge moment when you want to show the character moving in slow motion for over a minute. You know what I mean? Like the Quicksilver scenes in the X-Men films. That has to be one of like two big slow motion scenes in the movie focused on the speedster versus having it happen every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So when it does happen, it's cooler. But if you keep doing it, it's like, okay, that's cool. But you know what's also cool? Actually seeing the character move just faster than my eye can track. That's also cool. And I feel like we need more of that. And hopefully the Flash does a combination of the slow motion every now and again with the actually just showing the Flash be fast. A great example of that is in the Snyder Cut when those rocks were falling on the people and it was like a cloud of like blue lightning and dust and him just running around like moving all the rocks out of it. You remember that?
I forgot about that scene. I'm not gonna lie.
I only remember it because, a lot of people were talking about, Makari versus the Flash, and people were showing that visual as an example of how, cool the Flash looked in live action. And I was like, that is a great example. Too bad they didn't do that a lot.
Honestly, I think my favorite speedster live action moments are probably Ezra Miller saving Iris West, like Ezra Miller's Flash saving Iris West. I really love that scene.
That's a case of slow motion going on for way too long. I feel like that is literally the worst example of the slow motion trope.
I loved it. I loved that scene. And then Quicksilver in the X Mansion in Apocalypse. I think it was X Men Apocalypse. I didn't watch X Men Apocalypse. I don't remember which one.
Yeah,
I think it was X Men
that
Apocalypse.
was an apocalypse.
Yeah, I didn't watch that movie,
I
but
feel like
like I watched that scene 1,000 times,
yeah,
and I think I might watch it again after we get off because I love that scene.
I feel like Days of Future Past, the Sweet Dreams one is the best example, and the worst example is the one that you like the most.
I
Because
love that. I love that one.
that scene went on for way too long.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great, and it's funny because it was the scene I was most excited to see in the theatrical cut because they that was in like every trailer for the theatrical cut, and it just wasn't in the movie.
Yeah. So let's talk, let's get a little bit more in depth about the story. So the deviants. I want to talk about this is my one criticism of this film. So the deviants were created to murder by the Celestials to kill predators on planets so that life forms could grow and live. Intelligent life forms can grow and live and expand, so that they could power the planet and create enough energy so that a new celestial could be born out of the planet and creating more stars so that more life can exist throughout the universe. But the deviants couldn't. What was the word they used? They advanced. They could grow stronger, and it got to the point where they also became the predators of the intelligent life forms. So not celestials, eternals were created to kill those deviants so that life can cultivate and more celestials can be born. Within the movie, the deviants become intelligent by murdering celestials and absorbing their powers and their conscience. And there was this one deviant that became
Eternals. They murdered Eternals. They murdered what's her Ajax.
they murdered Eternals.
Yeah.
They became more intelligent. But that plot didn't go far enough, in my opinion. Essentially, it ended with Thena killing the deviant because the deviant killed one of the Eternals that was essentially taking care of her because she had Mad Weary, which is essentially the Eternals' equivalent of Alzheimer's. And, she murdered him for murdering him. And it would have been cooler if this deviant, with the Eternals' abilities within it, actually joined what they called the Unimind, which was them all connecting and combining their powers to stop the Celestial from destroying the Earth. And then that deviant kind of connecting with their minds and gaining some sympathy for them and being like, okay, I understand why you didn't choose to do what you do. And I understand your emotions. Like, it knows why they were doing it because it absorbed Ajax, but it had absolutely no empathy or sympathy for them at all. So by connecting with their minds, it then would understand them and then be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave you alone. It would sprout wings and then fly off and go and free its brethren across the universe. And I don't think that plot line is dead. I think that intelligent deviants are going to come back in future sequels. And I'm really interested to see where that goes. Like, maybe they form their own, they, I don't know what to call it, like colony, like, and they just band together and go around killing Eternals or something, or trying to take over the universe. Who knows? But yeah, that was my only negative for the movie, really. Oh, another one was that I feel like they did more telling than showing when it came to how much Cersei loved humans. I don't feel like they showed it well. Like, you kind of just had to believe it based on the fact that they said it 1,000 times. But
my biggest complaint with it is the fact that like she not like I feel like my biggest complaint with this movie was the fact that like there was a large exposition dump just in the middle of the movie that like slowed down the pace to like a crawl just in the middle of the movie. I'm like, I feel like they could have explained that a little better and
because
like done it so it wasn't a giant exposition dump.
the reason I don't think it slowed it down for me is because the visuals were so good. The visuals are really what I think made it keep my attention rather than just get boring. It didn't bother me much, but it was definitely a huge expedition dump that I can understand people not liking, because they were definitely like, you need to know these things, and he just told it all. And it was one point where I was like, okay, you could probably stop it here and explain the rest later, but they just kept going.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where they were explaining what I just explained about why the deviants were created, why the Eternals were created, what the Eternals are, and what the emergence is, which is a celestial being born from a planet. That's exactly what it was. The expedition dump I just did was exactly what they did, except that it was longer.
Much longer. It was like 5 minutes of just the Celestial talking about like why he made the Eternals and what they were doing on Earth and yada 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 yada.
But yeah, for me, I like every single one of the characters. Obviously, I like some characters more than the other. I like Makari the most because I just thought her speed was cool and I liked her relationship with Druig. Icarus is my second favorite character because his arc was amazing. I said spoiler alert before, but again, spoiler alert. He betrayed them because, and I feel like a lot of people kind of, this is another case where I feel like somebody in a review that I was watching misconstrued or was confused about why he flew into the sun, right? And the reason he essentially commits suicide, or probably not, I feel like he survived somehow, at the end of the film, is because he knows that at least Cersei won't kill him. The rest, I can't speak for Druig and Makari. They might, or Phastos, they might try to kill him. But he knows that Cersei won't kill him, and he knows that he did something that he can't really come back. He can't really walk back from, and he won't be able. He did it because he was told by Ajax that about the emergence, and if he were to stay with Cersei, he would have told her, and she would have tried to stop it. And because he didn't want her to stop it, he just stayed away from her for hundreds of years. And she, like, essentially they were together and he just disappeared to her. And eventually she moved on. And the reason he killed Ajax was because he felt like if they try to stop the emergence, then those hundreds of years that he spent away with her would have meant nothing. It would have mean that he did it for literally no reason, that he ruined that relationship for no reason. So he needs this to happen so that he could get another chance with her on a different planet once they're, brought back in a different form to go to a different planet and, do the same thing all over again. Rather than in this universe, if they stop this from happening, he'll never be able to be with her again because she'll be with Dane, your favorite character.
I'm so glad, by the way, that they didn't do what I was so scared they were going to do, which was like a major love triangle between the three of them. And I'm like, thank God that they didn't go that route. Because I was worried the entire time. I was like, no, please, no. But they didn't, and I was very happy about that.
Yeah, so he stopped it from he stopped her from telling them because he didn't want it all to amount to nothing. And then once they actually did stop the emergence, he was like, well, damn. Now there's not going to be any memories erased. Everybody's going to remember this. They're going to remember that I'm a horrible person. I'm never going to be able to be with you. So there's no point in me living anymore. So he left, and I don't think he's dead. I think he'll come back.
I don't think he's dead either.
But I really like his character, and I like that whole arc. It was really good. Ajax was my least favorite character because I feel like we barely got anything with her, like at all. She was there. That's about it. She's technically the catalyst of everything, but that doesn't make her an interesting character for me. But Salma Hayek is signed on for a few more Marvel movies. So every Eternal that died is coming back, essentially. Most likely due to the World Forge, which at the end of the movie, who is it? Phastos, Cersei, Kingo was taken by Arishem, the Celestial, back to the World Forge. And now the three that left the planet, Thena, Druig, who is my third favorite character. I like him a lot. And
I love Druig. Druig was so cool.
Yeah, Makari are gonna have to go and save them with the help of Eros, Star Fox, Thanos' brother. Like, I'm so interested to see what they do with the Celestials, if they bring in Galactus and have him have something to do with the Celestials in some form or fashion. And if Ego was lying about being a Celestial, or if he actually is a Celestial. Because we don't know.
I really hope they don't make him a Celestial. Okay, let's put it like this, right? If he is a Celestial, he's got to be the weakest Celestial in the MCU because he was literally just a planet.
Yeah, what if he's like a premature Celestial that was birthed too soon, and that's why he's literally the planet. He fused with the planet or something like that. I don't know. I feel like they'll. There's no way they don't explain it because they kind of got to. You can't just leave that in the wind. Whether they do it in Guardians or Eternals itself, who knows? But me, you talk about how like at some point Thor, the Eternals and Guardians, like there has to be some type of crossover. The cosmic characters have to, you know, come in contact with each other at some point. That would be interesting to see.
One thing that I was thinking about in the movie that I forgot about, and I meant to talk to you about on the way back, but I'm glad we're able to talk about it now, is that there's so many events where it's just like, why aren't the Avengers scrambling to respond? And like, I can understand more now, where it's like, now the Avengers are kind of in disarray. They're trying to get reorganized, type of thing. Like I can see it more now. Although even still, I would think that like worldwide earthquakes, they would probably scramble a lot quicker. Like even as they are all in disarray, I think they would scramble a lot quicker. But like even thinking back to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, there's literally something devouring the planet, like that giant blue thing, like Ego's like blue thing devouring the planet. I'm like, are the Avengers really this busy or
What
this lazy to respond to something like this?
are they gonna do? They literally couldn't do
They
anything.
could have done something. They could have tried something. I don't. No, no, no. They could have tried something. They. You cannot tell me that they wouldn't have at least tried. You
I
can't
mean,
tell me they wouldn't have
we don't know
tried.
if they didn't.
Okay, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. We don't know if they didn't, but like they didn't. I don't know. I feel like they should have at least showed that a little bit, like, or at least mentioned that they like it wouldn't. I could see why they wouldn't show it because it would cost more money to hire actors and stuff like that. But like they could have at least mentioned like, oh, the Avengers tried to respond to this, yada yada yada. Like they could have at least mentioned that. Like it costs $0 to add that line in.
Maybe they
But I
will.
feel like maybe they will eventually, but like I don't know. I feel like that takes me out a little bit because like the comics, that's something they do a lot. Is like it doesn't matter whose book it is. If it's like a world-ending threat, they'll show like a team of like powerful characters like trying to respond to it, even if they fail. And like that makes the world feel a lot more connected than in the MCU, where I feel like a lot of times I feel like I'm kind of taken out because I'm like this world feels very disjointed at times. And
Yeah.
like that, I feel like that's something they're working on with Phase 4, but I don't know. It would have been cool to get at least a line.
Before we wrap up, talk about the end credits. We talked about Star Fox, but at the very end, they showed Dane
Yes.
opening the box with the ebony blade in it, and before he like could touch it, they had a voice in the background saying, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" And it was Mahershala Ali Blade, and I'm interested to see where that goes with Blade and the Black Knight. I'm really interested to see where that goes. You talked about the Midnight Suns. Maybe they do a Midnight Suns movie that could be cool.
That'd
Um,
be awesome.
maybe serious or something like that. That just I'm excited. I'm excited for Blade. Um, definitely my love of Blade comes from the movies. The first two, the third one is trash. Um, and like yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with Blade and the MCU. Um, but also yeah, their power designs remind me of Forspoken. They post a lot of clips on their Instagram from the game, and the way the power is working, like look visually within that game, kind of reminded me of Eternals after I watched the movie. And also, you mentioned how the Ten Rings could potentially have been made by Fastos, um, and that could be an interesting connection. I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah, that's all I got. Now, I'm Dijon. You can find my
Amir.
for both Instagram and Twitter. You can find Amir's app below him and the Muskrat's app below that. Don't forget
Yeah, I got turned into a demon cat, so this
yeah.
is me now.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post.